Hello and welcome to another installment of your favorite podcast, the Golden Nugget Podcast.
Yeah.
I am your host, Anna Golden, and I'm joined by your best friends, my best friends.
Besties.
Besties. We have a new bestie.
Yes, we do.
But here's the thing. We have to acknowledge how we're trying to get the term bestie Kayla to catch on.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
We're not.
I want Kayla's official name to be Bestie Kayla.
Bestie Kayla. I'm going to start calling you that on the streets.
Yeah, in the last episode we did about our relationship, we talked about that. The streets have been calling you that, Kayla.
Okay.
We hear you're out in the streets.
Yeah.
I'm not out in the street. I am not out in the
Not
street.
like that, Enoch.
Let's not laugh in the mic like that again. I was like,
All right.
screech from hell in my ears.
That is so crazy.
That
Anyway,
hurt.
I'm going to start by introducing someone who has not been on our podcast before, but a great friend of ours, Dorian.
The one and only.
Gray, gray
He's on the
urban,
dummy
gray-minded.
cam now.
Yeah, the man, the myth, the legend, Dorian. And he is on the dummy cam because Enoch is back in the hot seat.
Yeah.
I can't
The
get out of
people
it.
wanted more.
It won't let me get out of it.
The people wanted more. Our last episode we did about a relationship, we only got to, it was so funny
Literally.
because we were talking about it and Kayla was like, yeah, we just got up to their first kiss. And then Dory was like, how long was the episode? It's like an hour.
Yeah.
There's a
Only
lot.
Up until the first
There's a lot of
kiss.
tension built up and all the
Y'all
things.
wanted all the tea. So
Listen.
it's like, I
And now
gave
we
it
get
you.
to like the happily ever after part.
Right.
But we also have Kayla, as we've introduced.
Yes. Welcome
Kayla,
back.
Old Faithful, we love it.
Yeah.
And then
Y'all,
Enoch.
yeah.
Bestie
I'm
Kayla.
back.
Here we are.
Hey, guys,
Everybody's
love
here.
y'all.
The gang's all here. And most importantly, you're here.
Y'all,
And-
before we know it, at this rate, we'll have a live studio audience by like July.
Really?
I don't know if we'll
Is
have the
that
room.
something we ever desire?
I don't think so.
We definitely don't have the
'Cause
room.
ours
Look at
our
the camera.
pod.
Let's go to the cameras.
We definitely don't have the room in this current room.
No.
But most importantly, you guys are here and joining us. And whether if you are watching or you're listening, we're so happy that you stumbled upon this. If maybe this is your first episode or you like to call yourself a member of the Golden Nuggets, we call them the Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets also call themselves that. But you know what?
Who?
We don't care about the Denver Nuggets.
No, it's about us.
We don't.
we don't
This
care.
is about all
we don't
of
care
us.
that they won last year. We don't care about none of that.
Did they really?
They
win?
did. They won the championship last year. They're
All the way.
pretty
I
much
think
the
they're
best
on
team in the
sports.
world. They're unbeatable. But here come the
Since
Lakers.
when?
Here come the Lakers.
I'm like,
this
that
year.
doesn't sound right.
Here's the
Yeah, the
thing.
Denver
The
Nuggets.
Denver
They won the
Nuggets?
They
NBA
won.
championship last
They
year.
won.
That was
They've got
honestly
Jokic.
so
Can't
crazy.
nobody stop Jokic right now.
I
He's
feel like this
different.
podcast just turned to a completely different
And that's why
podcast.
LeBron
Get
is
another
better than
guy on
Jordan.
Woof.
True.
We got another
It is
guy
very
on here
true.
for like 1 second.
Yeah,
It's starting to go down.
There's an ounce
I've
of
got- I
another
finally
male
have-
energy here,
yeah.
and now we're talking about
An
sports.
even
I
playing
don't even
field.
watch
All
sports
that to say,
Dorian's like, I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy.
all that to say, we don't care about the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
But if you do, we love that.
Yeah.
We,
We
want to
only
support
care
you guys.
about what our Nuggets care about.
We love you guys.
Yeah.
We're
We
happy to
love
be
you
here.
guys. And today we're going to, first of all, continue where we left off.
Part 2. You guys wanted more, so here
Our
I am.
relationship story.
Yep.
Yeah, because people love you, Enoch.
Guys, that's so sweet.
It's honestly infuriating sometimes because, like, I obviously know, like,
I don't
I
even know
love
if they
you.
love me or they're questioning me.
No, if anything, some of
We want
these
him to tell
questions
us
that were
more.
submitted are questioning me. But every room we walk into, like, you're immediately loved.
Yeah, I feel so
True.
loved.
For sure.
You're
I don't even think it's me. It's the people. They're different.
That's so sweet.
They love
of you to
everyone.
say, but you are so lovable.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
You just crawl into everybody's
It's
hearts.
just because I'm with you for real.
Wow.
It's all a lie.
Yo.
I'm the worst.
Could you imagine? Anyway, okay, so let's pick up where we left off. We literally left off of we started dating.
Yeah, I think the last episode was where we just had our first kiss and then
Yeah,
We just left
y'all
to
hanging.
Dallas and
Yeah, came back to Dallas. You were in Georgia. To summarize the last episode, Enoch and I were friends for a while before we started dating. And then the minute we started dating, it kind of just accelerated. So we're giving all the backstory in the last episode. And if you haven't heard it, go back and watch that one. It'll give you more of a groundwork to this one. Or you can just keep listening. Who knows? I'm not
Yeah.
here to tell you what to do.
all the things.
But basically, there was so much, like, it was so quick. It happened so fast. I will also say our relationship wasn't public until
That's true.
Halloween.
Yeah.
yes.
That plays a
Halloween.
Yeah.
Until
I always forget that played a factor.
well, yeah, because you imagine like our relationship came public. What Halloween would have been November. Practically.
Right.
So then November, we get engaged in December, and then we get married in January.
Right. So
Oh my gosh. To anyone on the outside, that's crazy.
For y'all, it felt new. We're out here. Just,
Yeah, because we started dating the end of July.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, to the naked eye,
Right.
it was like, oh my gosh, she's pregnant. And you want to know what? And I'm going to say this because that was I was like anxious that people would think that.
She was concerned about that for months. And I was like, they'll find out you're not in 9 months.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that because in ministry, sometimes a timeline can be accelerated because, it's better to marry than to burn. I think there's balance in that. I think don't just get married to do that. Amen. Right. But
definitely.
We also were just so sure. And like the reality of there were so many factors that played into why we got married when we got married, and even the day to like the month you were moving here. We wanted to go ahead and just live together. Yeah. Like we didn't want to have to live in separate places for quite a while. We finished our premarital counseling. I don't think people know that we probably we went through all the steps. Mm-hmm. So to outside looking in, it looks like faster than it actually was. But for the reality of it is right when we started dating. And the first time you came here was August?
Yeah.
Sometime in August? Or was it September yet?
September, I think.
Probably.
September.
I don't know.
Because I remember we really had a balance, like going back and forth. I think I came to you in August, and then a couple times, then you came here in September. And then it felt like he was here every other week.
He was here every day.
Yeah.
I don't remember not seeing him.
I know. I was like, you got to come in town again. But we sat down with our pastors.
Like weekly.
Yeah, we sat down with our pastors like the first week of September, and we're like, this is it. We know that we want to get married.
Right.
And then so we just kind of operated in that way. And I'll say that one of the biggest questions we've had, we can kind of like sprinkle in questions as we kind of go through our story, but one of the biggest questions we've had is, how did we know that each other was the one?
Yeah.
And it was so specific. Some of them were like, how did he know and how did she know?
Right.
Because they went like,
did God wake him up out of his sleep?
Yeah. Did you get a vision like Joseph?
Did he see the face of the Lord?
Yeah. And I think that's like a huge thing. Yeah. A lot of people know my story. I don't think I've ever even told like my full relationship, just like sagas on this podcast, my own podcast in particular. But I was previously engaged when I was 20, so that's like 7 years ago now. And I was engaged for 1.5 years. And obviously I did not marry him, and I called that off. So that was kind of a really weird time for me, and the way that I processed. Like, I just thought, first of all, my biggest question, if you would have known me at that time, was like, how do you know who you're marrying is the one? I asked everybody that question. And then it became like kind of like a shtick. Like, I would ask people that all the time. And then you get the slew of people who are like, when you know, you know. And I was like, that's crap.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to actually, like, I need signs. But I will say there was a mentor of mine at that time, and she told me, she was like, the Lord knows how to speak to you. And I was like, huh.
Wow.
So I'm over here asking everybody how they hear from the Lord.
Wow.
Like, how did you know? What sign did you get? And she was like, you've, like, God's communicated with you before. She's like, it's not going to be like buried under a rock now that it's like the second most important decision you can make in your life besides salvation. Like, you know what I mean? So I think that was something huge for me. I always thought that, this was like a joke in my friend group, in my family, that I was going to be dragged down the aisle, or will I ever get married? Because I was such an indecisive person when it came to that. Like, that was such a weighty thing, especially being in a relationship that almost got there and not getting there. I think it gave me more of a pause. So this was like, that was my question. So anybody who sent in that question of like, how did you know? How did you know? How did you know? It really was like a difference and a settling in my spirit. I did not get an angel of the Lord. I did not get a dream or a vision. I will say there was wisdom in the multitude of counsel. Right. there are few people in my life that have this authority, but there are people in my life who have the authority that could tell me something that would change the outcome.
Right. Veto power.
Yeah. And I think if you don't have anybody in your life who can pull the plug on something and you're the judge, jury, and executioner, that is such a scary place to be.
Yeah.
Accountability is amazing. And like I said, like in the Bible, it says there's wisdom in a multitude of counsel. It's not that there's someone to control you. It's, there's shared wisdom and getting different point of views. And just kind of having those trusted people in our life who also confirmed it. And just so many things. I will say one thing in particular for me was I had prayed that when I met the man I was going to marry, that the Lord would tell him before he told me.
Wow.
And I think that came with, all my girlies, even some of my guys can be like, amen to this. I could not go through another instance of like a talking season or a dating season with inconsistency.
Wow.
Like, I think that it is a bit of an epidemic in our generation, this inconsistent culture of what it's like to pursue someone, of like being so hot and cold and then dropping off and then being like, I think I love you and I want to marry you, and then dropping off. And I'll say, I've done this to people. I know you've done this to people. Like, this is something that like, it's not that if you have done that before, there's grace for it. Yeah. But I think that it was just something in me that I'm like, okay, I just need someone to know. And a huge thing was like, I don't want someone who's like, I'm ready to get married. I want someone who's like, no, I want to marry you.
Yeah. Right.
Like, you're the person that I want to be with.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Truly.
So
especially like knowing that up front, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. So that was, but I will say from the minute our first kiss happened. Yeah. And you were like, I want to date you. I want to be with you. There was never a break in communication. Yeah. You never changed your mind, and you never changed the way you pursued me from like day one. And even now to how we're married. Yeah. Like, there's never been like, do you care anymore? Like, do you still like me? Are you still into this? Like, it was just super consistent in the way of pursuit. Beautiful. So that was like such confirmation to me too.
That's good.
Anyway, I just talked forever. Sorry.
No, I think that was a question that a lot of people were asking and wanted to know, and I feel like that's such a good wisdom on that question.
Thank you. There is truly like, and I think the Lord honors our choices too. Like, when you truly are wanting to follow Holy Spirit, the Lord will give you those signs. Yeah. And it's like, there is not going to be someone who's perfect. Yeah. Like, there are going to be flaws and mistakes, and you guys are going to get in arguments, and there's going to be things that you have to work out. But I will say, two people who are submitted to Holy Spirit can make anything work.
Truly.
Like, especially like finding a partner who listens to others and not just to themselves is like a huge sign, because like that's just growth. And I say that too about like when I think something also is pretty big, like even in my like peers and my friend group, it's like we have all these standards of even that we want for men. Like, oh, he needs to make like 6 figures a year and he needs to have this rolling and this rolling. I'm like, that's all crazy. The expectations we're putting on people before we even get married. I'm like, what happened to building with someone? Yeah. That's real. And then with that, but you can see the traits in someone that can build to that. Yeah. Like, and not that marrying potential kind of thing, but just like marrying traits. Yeah. Like I'm marrying someone with patterns. Like, what's your patterns? Is your pattern that you work really hard, that you do listen to others, that you submit? So I don't know, just got off on a tangent. That's good. How did you know, Enoch?
I honestly, like, as you even said, like the consistency from me, I honestly feel like it was like the grace of God. Not even to like just say it was all God, but I felt like honestly after dating and like seeing things not work out, and even feeling those moments of like, maybe I don't want to be with this person, but I'm still with this person. Like, you know, like you were saying, putting someone in that placeholder setting where it's like nothing's really happening. There's no direction to go. Once you meet like the person that you feel like, okay, this could go somewhere, and like you feel the weight of it where you don't want to mess it up. You want to steward it well, and you want to like treat it honestly like it's life or death, because it's like, this might be my person. I don't want to mess it up. I honestly felt like the Lord literally, I wouldn't call it like an encounter how people would want it. Like, you know, I want God to tell me himself, but I like felt the weight of it.
Yeah.
Versus like the casualness, versus going through the motions, versus like, you know, just feeling like this was just another person. Because I honestly just like, not that I had a list, but I knew what I wanted in a wife in a way of like, honestly, what I want her, in ways I want her to like love the Lord, in ways I want her to like love people, the ways I want her to like communicate. So when I met you, and that even blew that out of the water, I was like, holy, like this is like way out of what I think would even be my league. You know what I mean? And so honestly, in that moment, I just went for it.
That's sweet.
So when you know, you know.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that just like the worst thing to hear? When
True.
I do remember being in that when I was engaged before, Googling, how do you know you're with the right person? And honestly, the first thing that came up, it's like, you know, it's like rock bottom when you're going to Google. And the first thing that came up was like, if you're Googling this, you're not with the right person.
That's so real.
And I was
if you're
like,
going to Google for relationship advice,
Yeah, it's like,
go ahead.
And I
Stop
literally
texting that
like
person.
just screamed and threw my phone down. I was like, what? Which is so real. But yeah, I think it's too like the Lord honors the desires of your heart too.
Yeah.
And there were things that I'd prayed over, and like, call me a hopeless romantic, but anybody who was around me, I was like, I would rather not marry than have like a mediocre marriage.
yep.
She
I
was
think
that person.
was
Yeah.
that I told everybody that all the time. So my whole family was like, she's never gonna marry. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm 27.
No, because that can come off as like you're seeking the perfect person.
Sure.
Where that's not where you were.
No, I think I just realized like, I think the perspective that I had by almost getting married before and it not being right, knowing that the difference of just to be with someone wasn't better than being alone. Like, that was something that I'd realized young, that I was like, oh, you can still feel lonely in relationship. You can still feel unwanted within the confines of a relationship. So I was like, why would I want all of that? Like, I would just rather kind of be on my own. And I do think that there was growth that had to happen in me about like letting things go to be able to be in a relationship. And I think that I definitely had toxic tendencies. I don't think I like drama. I like theatrics.
Yeah.
So, and I'm such an artist. Like, I'm an artist as an artist as an artist. So I'm like, I want to write songs. If we're going to fight, we're going to fight. You know what I mean? And I'm like, and I'm going to
There's
get
no like show fighting.
and
It's
I'm going to
be-
get like the most inspiration out of this.
Yeah.
I'm going to use this.
It's gonna be passionate.
When I went into counseling, this is very interesting. When I went into counseling, something that was huge was my patterns kind of sought toward toxicity. And so we were kind of like breaking down like the neurological pathways in my mind of why I would lean towards toxicity as opposed to health. And one thing was there's serotonin release when you're like flowing in purpose. And to me, flowing in purpose was like using my musical abilities and like writing songs and feeling like I'm really in my vein. Like that gives my personal self the most sense of reward.
Yeah.
So, and I realized the most time I was creating was when I was in bad relationships, because it would give me so much like inspiration to put into music. So my counselor was like, we're somehow drawing a line that you're seeking bad relationships because they're rewarding you on the back end with content.
The arts.
And so it was
crazy.
like, we have to disconnect this cycle. Yeah. And so that was something huge for me, because that I felt that. And one thing that was a switch in our relationship, I remember getting in arguments, and like, I love being right.
Right.
You know this about me. I like to be right.
But you're not always right.
Yeah, I'm not. But I realized that when we were in conversation or we were in arguments, like, I didn't want to hurt you over being right, if that makes sense.
Totally.
So it was the first time that I really felt like, oh man, I would rather just resolve this, because I cared way more about you than the outcome. I cared way more about you than how theatrical the fight could get, or because I thought like, oh, this isn't worth the damage that it could cause to our relationship.
Right.
So it was definitely like a bit of a maturing of growing up.
It's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about the proposal.
Oh,
Nice. Okay, I
Enoch?
guess it's my turn.
Yeah, this is more Enoch, you know.
All right. Yeah, so I mean, we're dating, flying into Dallas, flying into Atlanta, all the things.
Mm-hmm.
We're,
Knowing we wanted to get married quick.
knowing we want to get married, but it doesn't get
when
real.
did you know for sure you wanted to marry me? Like, was there a moment?
I mean, I'm guessing when you're about to go buy the ring, that makes everything real.
That was the moment? No, I mean like when you decided that you
That
wanted
we're
to
getting
marry
married?
me. Yeah.
Probably as we're sitting down talking to Earl and Onika.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember saying that out loud and we were both like we were like,
But like,
whoa. So when
Yeah.
we sat down with our pastors, you were like,
yeah, because I think that gave it a sense of reality on the basis of like, okay, we're doing this.
and they were both like, I will say our pastor's response was like, let's sit in that for a second.
Right.
They're
Are you
like-
sure?
They're like,
And when they're
wow.
when they're looking eye to eye and they're like, "Are you sure?"
And we're
'Cause
like,
that's a big
We're
statement
like,
to make.
for
Oh.
sure.
for
It's
sure.
almost the biggest. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna marry this person. You're like,
Yeah, because obviously, like, I mean, I'm meeting them for the first time, and it's like kind of like a bit of questioning, getting to know me. I don't even remember this dinner. Like, it was like a 3-4 hour dinner.
We went to Carbone in Dallas.
I don't
And it's like
remember-
one of my most favorite restaurants. And I was so excited for you to try it.
I don't remember a taste.
And I remember getting in the
Yo.
car at the end.
so sad.
And I was like, what did you think? And he's like, did I eat?
I was talking the whole time for like 4 hours. I poured my
Yeah.
heart out.
Yeah.
I was like, and so when I was 4, I think
I know. I remember I was like, I kind of felt bad at that dinner because Earl was
No.
asking you questions I'd never asked you.
Yeah.
And you were like, I spent summers in the
Earl
DR.
knows how to get to know somebody.
Yeah. It was honestly beautiful.
Yeah. And so anyways, obviously along that conversation, he's like, so like, how serious is this? Where are we going? Like, he's like such a visionary. He's like, what's the next step? What are we doing? I'm like, we're getting married. We're going to get married.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's like, oh, you are? I'm like,
I know. It
and
was.
so I think after
you
that,
are.
it made everything so real on the basis of like, okay, where are our next steps? Like,
Yeah.
how do we do this? You know what I mean? And I think, honestly, continue to have those conversations with wise counsel.
we wanted to get married like
yeah,
immediately. We
Yeah.
were like, we could have got married that night.
truly, yeah,
Like we were like, let's just do it. Let's just get married. And then we obviously stayed dating until the end of the year. And we knew that before we were getting married, we were going to get premarital counseling.
of course, yeah,
So we were trying to plan that as well.
yeah,
But then, then you started planning the proposal. You can go back to that.
yeah. And then I get back to Georgia and I'm talking to Liz. I'm talking to all your besties. I'm like, I need to buy a ring. Like, it's time. And this is like November, December. And I know I'm flying in for Christmas. And I'm like, she knows it's coming, but I like still want it to be some sort of surprise.
I know, because we honestly had talked about like we wanted to get married in January. I hadn't been proposed to yet, and he was coming in down for Christmas, and he's like, "I have 10 days, so you know it's happening
Right.
within like the confines of 10
and like
days."
when you're doing it like this, I guess there's nothing like to hide. Like, you're literally planning things out. It's like, we're getting married here, I'm moving there here, all those things.
yeah,
And so it's like, I at least need this to be a surprise. So I buy the ring. Even buying the ring was so stressful, I feel like, because there's so many conversations. She doesn't think I'm buying the ring, and I went ahead and bought it based on what she told me she liked after a deep review
I
and debrief of all the different things that she likes.
I wanted it to be unique.
And
I
so,
said I wanted it to be a little unorthodox,
right,
and I didn't want it to look like everything else, and I wanted him to buy it in cash.
right.
Because I was
No
like,
debt.
I'm not inheriting debt for a ring that you're
Right.
buying for me.
And
So and I'll say, like, be free of the idea that something like that has to be massive. I will say,
right,
when you're in the wrong relationship, that's something you get completely hung up on.
right.
But when you're like massively in love with the person, you're
Right.
like, I don't care at all. Like,
could have been a
it's,
tattoo.
like literally,
Wow.
Yeah.
I really wanted something that you felt like showed your love to me
Yeah,
and like how you would express that.
yeah. And so
But in that, You start saying engagement ring, your whole timeline is engagement rings.
Literally.
So like every day I'm getting new ideas.
And
so I would just send them.
And so
then
we're
finally
talking
it
about these
comes-
ideas for every day for like 2-3 weeks. And I finally buy it. And she keeps talking about these ideas, but of course I already bought it. I'm like railing it in. I'm like not even talking about it at this point. Like low-key acting like
And I had
I'm
known
not
you
gonna
bought
buy
it when I was in Palm Beach or something, and I
think
had
so.
sent a
And
couple.
she keeps sending rings. And she was like, and then she starts sending rings that look like the complete opposite of what I bought her. Like purple emeralds.
Okay,
like
it was
green stones.
there's like a couple colored stones in there. It was cool.
And she was like, I'm gonna reach out to these people, see what we can do. This,
I
that, and
did
the other.
reach
She's
out.
like taking
I
practical
reached
steps.
out to some
Anna.
jewelers to see if they would do a
I'm
collaboration.
dead. Ring
Yeah.
already bought.
and
Secured.
it's already bought.
And I could
I'm like
tell
starting
his
to get
response.
frustrated.
And I was like, oh God, he bought it. I think I was with you, Dorian. And I was like, I think he bought it. And I think it just stressed him out.
She was getting under my skin. This was like over like 4 days. She would not stop.
Oh God.
And I wouldn't talk about the ring anymore. So she keeps going. I'm like, just stop. Just please stop. Just stop. I can't buy the ring. I can't afford it.
I'm like,
Maybe-
all right.
I'm like, maybe we should just like think about this again. Like, I'm like,
He's just getting so mad.
and she's like picking up what I'm putting down. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, you bought it. She literally knew. I hung up. I was at work. I hung up. And we just literally.
Didn't talk about it again.
I know. I think I was on
Yeah.
tour. And
Yeah.
I was like in my bunk. And I was just like laying up looking at the ceiling. I was like, oh, tough.
Yeah,
He bought
very
it.
tough.
And I just made him feel so insecure about it.
Very much so.
But I love the
purple
ring.
emeralds versus
I love
what
the ring
you
that
had like
chose.
2 weeks before. All
Okay.
that to say, she likes something new every 2 weeks, so we keep
did.
revamping things. And so then it's time to propose. And of course, I've only got 10 days because it's within Christmas and New Year's. I'm coming in town, and she knows it's coming, and I'm like collaborating with Liz. I'm like, how are we gonna do this to where it's like surprising to a certain extent? And I had changed my flight to come in earlier because I said I couldn't.
Mind you, I have his login to like Delta Sky Miles.
Yeah.
Dang.
So like I know
Mhm.
his flight stuff. So he bought it without using like his.
I bought it on the side,
Yeah.
and I kept
I'm
that
dead.
flight. So I bought
And
it on
he
the
kept
side,
the other flight. So I like.
and I came Christmas.
I will.
Eve,
I have
'cause
to say this. You did so great.
Yeah, you did great.
You did so great of trying to keep it a secret. Everybody around you didn't.
Horrible.
Dang.
It was so frustrating because y'all. I went to the ends of the earth to make this a surprise, and everybody around me was just flopping.
But I'm also so. I like to think that I'm just a little too discerning.
Sure.
But also, some people just can't. They
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
swing it.
Oh, boy.
Like there was like a little too much. My sister, this was the side that I got of things. Okay, he was supposed to come in the night of Christmas Eve because you were working,
Right.
and I really wanted him to come in earlier because I wanted to spend Christmas Eve with him, and he wasn't coming in till like midnight. And then he was like, I'm working, and also like my family, like I have a family too. And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna argue with that. And so then on Saturday, the day before, my sister's like, hey, we're gonna go to like this brunch thing with a friend of ours. And I was like, okay, we got to dress up. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. And then she like tried to
I don't
turn
dress
it.
up.
And she tried to turn it into like this whole thing. And then it just started to become a little too much of a thing. And then I was like, huh.
I'm gonna go ahead and
And
dress
then
up.
one night I looked and I was getting my hair done, and your location wasn't on.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh.
And so.
And I
me-
told my hairstylist, I told nobody this because I knew my family, and if I would have said it, and they would have like they would have just given it away, and I still was trying to like protect like if it was happening.
that I'm breaking my back to come in early.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm also on the back end of things. I'm getting with my team that I am supposed to be working with on Christmas Eve. I'm like, hey guys, and they're like fully supporting me. Go get married or propose. And so
Yeah.
they're like backing me up in Georgia. My parents are with it. They're like literally taking me to the airport at like 3 a.m. the day before.
And his location's off. I'm sitting down the salon chair with my friend Soph. I was like, Soph, I've told nobody this, but I think he's proposing to me on Saturday. And she was like, no way. And I was like, she's like, I know nothing. I was like, I just already think so. Whatever. So then I go home, and like a bunch of my friends are there, and Liz and my like siblings are already in town. And they're like talking about tomorrow. And our friend that we were like doing the brunch with had mentioned that she was going out of town. And I was like, how is she?
She slipped up.
And I was like, and
She had
they
no
tried to
idea.
cover it quick, but I'm too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're too with it. You're
She
like,
looked
it's
in.
happening.
And I knew, knowing her, she's like that. I had turned off my location, like the minute I bought the flight. So this was like 3 days before. So my location was off for like 3 days in Georgia. And I was just acting like it was broken, this, that, and the
Well,
other.
I didn't notice it right away. And then I noticed it and I was like, And then I was like trying to be like sweet. And I was like, oh, what's and you're like, oh, my iCloud. And also tomorrow I'm going to be out of commission because I'm working with my dad in the morning. And then I was like,
But it's
we
like,
don't go a minute without talking.
y'all, I got in like at 11 a.m. I took the earliest flight.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't text her back before 11. She's like, something's off.
I just knew. And then we all get in the car. And here's the only thing. There was one thing that deterred me of like, this may not be happening because like I said, my sister was like, we're going to this brunch. My sister walks out in a ball gown.
Oh my god.
Excuse me.
With I'll put in a picture.
Liz
And
was so
red
locked
heels.
in.
And a cheetah fur coat.
Liz
Yeah.
sold
With-
out.
Oh,
yes.
and she's in
She was-
full
Man.
glam.
Oh yes.
And she was like,
She
is
was
that what you,
committed.
because I was going to dress down. And she was like, is that what you're wearing? And I was like, is that what you're
She
wearing?
was so
Liz
committed.
Yeah, she looked like she was going
Well,
to the Met
and then
Gala.
Josh was like, I want to come last minute. And then
Yeah.
Josh is in jeans. And I'm like, oh, Josh gets to be in jeans and you're in a gown. And then everybody started caring a little too much about what I was wearing. Like my mom got involved. And I was like, all right. And then we like got in there and Liz was like, oh, I'm doing like a Craigslist pickup before whatever. And I still, it's like, there was like a point in me, I was like, maybe this could be a thing. And then we pull up. I think we even have like a video.
There's the video.
And we pull up and I like looked to the side and I was like, and then I looked over.
She wouldn't get out of the car.
Oh,
She was freaking out.
I was so nervous.
We had our incredible friends, Sam and Yvette,
Yeah.
who literally, like, honestly did it all. They picked me up. They, like, helped me with the flowers. I got, like, 300 flowers. I think it was, like, 300. And, like, stuck them in the ground. Like, this whole crazy concept. Even, like, the backdrop was insane. And they were in the bushes because she did not want video or photography.
But you knew she was gonna want it.
Right. And so I had them, like, hiding away. Sam and Yvette were literally, like, ninjas, like, in the bushes. And, like, as they're pulling up, she won't get out of the car. And I'm, like, just yelling. It looked like I was yelling at myself. But they were in the bushes, so I was talking to them. I was like, she won't get out. I think she's freaking out.
I was freaking out.
And so, honestly, it ended up being studied.
Studied. It was beautiful. And I would like have never been so nervous.
Right.
My
Me too.
goodness.
I'm like, why were we so nervous? That's
Yeah.
so funny.
Felt like I didn't even know you.
I know. It felt like we were strangers.
It was like the longest walk
The
up to me.
longest walk. Imagine me. I'm like walking in heels. Like,
Yeah.
do you
She,
just
like,
stare?
She took her heels off because she was walking on grass.
Yeah,
Starts
because
running towards me.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, I'm actually obsessed.
it was
It was
so sweet, and I was just so excited. Like, I was obviously so excited to get engaged, but I was also like, you're gonna be here for Christmas Eve.
Right. That's all she really cared about.
No, I was just like excited to see him because we hadn't seen each other.
Right.
I don't even think.
because you were on tour before that, right?
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
on like this Christmas tour, and then we had just been away from each other for a second. So I was just so excited to see him.
It was
And then
special.
like knowing, because I think it was after that we knew we weren't gonna have to be apart anymore because you were moving.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it was like just a
Crazy.
flood of emotion. But then we got
Well, that's
engaged,
to say we got engaged.
and then we got married
And then,
less than a month later,
Yeah.
Yep.
which
Mhm.
wasn't decided until
It was so quick.
like
Yeah. Because we for sure needed to finish premarital. So we took care of that. And then we honestly didn't care for a wedding. We're like, let's just have a sweet little dinner.
it
Immediate
changed so
family.
many times. It was like gonna be like 5 people,
Right.
maybe even just our parents, maybe just us and our pastors.
Yeah.
And then it turned into like my pastor's incredible, and Onika was like, I can whip something up
And
Yeah.
she
in
did.
Then
literally
she
2
did.
weeks,
Yeah, she
and it
did.
was a
Oh, Nika gets on it. It's over with.
no, it was a full blown wedding.
Yeah.
Never
Like, you guys
forget-
were there.
No, never forget the text. I think maybe 11 days before to
Uh-huh.
group chat, me, Dorian, and Enoch. Hey, you guys busy next Friday?
We're getting married.
I know, and
I was like, if I did have plans, cancel.
Cancel them all.
it was so sweet. Like,
It was so
honestly,
beautiful.
our wedding was my favorite because it was everything that we
was
wanted it to
magical.
be. And here's the thing: if I would have had more than 11 days to plan my wedding, it would have been crazy. Like
those 11 days were so.
much.
It was probably for the
Yeah.
best.
yeah.
It was honestly what people do in 6 months. We did in 11 days.
Well, you moved from Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
We moved in. We moved all of our stuff into our new house from my old house to this
We
house.
drove from Georgia. I drove from Georgia.
Oh,
Enoch drove.
She was a passenger princess for 12 hours.
Yeah.
Yes, we packed up, said bye to my
as
family.
you should. I'm never gonna.
Yo,
do
that was
What do
tough.
I look like driving cross country?
You're just a girl.
That was so tough.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'm like reflecting on my life in Georgia, leaving my family. And she's just sleeping in the passenger seat. I'm like,
All right, we
I'm
talked.
like, yeah, some.
And
yeah,
then
we drove from Georgia, moved into a new house, sold a bunch of stuff from the old house, cleaned
Yeah.
up, all those things.
And so it was like just a lot. Like we moved the Monday. We got married on a Friday, the Monday before we moved in from my old house to the new house. So it was pretty crazy. The moving and that wedding was in a week. And then also like
But honestly, we had an army behind us.
of people.
It was not us.
It
at
was
all.
incredible.
I
Like
felt like-
just so many people helped us move. And then
Yeah.
like shout outs like Amanda and Crystal and Onika.
Shoreline City has
Kayla,
some
like-
dogs because the way they do an event
No.
like that and like the snap
Crystal,
of a
Amanda, and Onika, like
finger, they
literally,
top
we had a
tier.
group chat.
they could build a startup company overnight.
No,
Oh,
that's a fact.
we
It's
did
insanity.
everything. It was literally like
The way
florals. They were every
and the way they
single
think
thing.
of everything and like is just taken care of.
And then it was also like, well, we need to have like a bachelorette night.
Yep.
So planned an entire night,
Yeah,
and then they planned an entire bachelor night for you.
they did.
That whole week
I
was like
almost
so.
cried.
Yeah, that whole week was
Aw.
so sweet.
Yeah.
Like as hectic as it was, and getting
And
all the
all
things
we
together.
wanted to do was like maybe just have dinner with our family and say yes, I do.
Yeah, and I
They were
think
like,
what's
"No, this
I
is
think
about to
what
be
was so
special."
amazing about it is it didn't feel like my biggest concern about that it would feel like every other day,
Yeah,
Mhm.
truly.
and this
Yeah.
didn't feel like that at all. Like
Memorable.
they made it so like helped us make memories, take all those moments, and like they thought of every single
Yeah.
thing. I
Mhm.
knew a couple things like Earl helped put together the entire
Earl,
flow of the
literally,
night. He planned the entire wedding
he did.
because I had sent like what I thought the flow should be, and he was like,
no,
maybe this.
And Earl literally like even to the like they were all so intentional to the point of like he said like certain things in Spanish just for my family.
Yeah,
Oh my
because
gosh, it
you're.
was so sweet.
Yeah.
We haven't really like. We'll need to do an entire episode on just like who you are as a
Yeah,
person.
yeah.
But
But honestly,
you're
like
from the Dominican. Nobody.
from
I don't
the
think.
Dominican.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think people know that.
Guys, I'm Dominican.
Well, so many people
100%.
found that out even like at our wedding.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's sweet. Yeah, fresh off the island.
No.
What?
Okay.
My parents are fresh off the island. I was born in New York, specifically the
Mhm.
Bronx. Well,
Nice.
born in Manhattan, raised in the Bronx. Then we moved to Georgia when I was 8. That's a little crash course. All that to say, Earl has got a
So
little
there's
bit,
a lot of members of your family who are even there who are just
yeah.
mainly Spanish speaking. So it was
And
like
so
him
Earl is out
intentionally.
here with a little Dominican accent. He looks a little
He
Dominican,
crushed.
so he kind of added up.
Dude,
He crushed
he
it.
did.
And honestly, it meant the world. Honestly, us even having a wedding meant the world to my family.
Yeah.
Just because I was kind of like the first.
Mhm.
And so like that
Same.
literally, that's all my parents wanted. They're like, you're the first in a lot of the things you do. So you might as well just have a wedding and just like start that. It's honestly like a blessing.
And the whole flow of the night. Oh, I don't think anybody knows this. The morning of my wedding, wake up. We're just like, I'll say something about us is we're like best friends.
Yeah.
Like if there's if there's anybody to hang out with, we want to hang out with each other.
right.
And like not in like a toxic way of like codependency, but it's like genuinely we just love.
Right.
It's
Like
so cute.
it makes everything better.
So the morning of the wedding, everyone's like, y'all can't see each other. Y'all can't see each other.
We
Th-
did.
This girl calls me at 9 a.m. Where are you?
And I'm like,
I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we know the plan for today. She's like, come over.
I'm like, my parents are already over here. I was like, it's our wedding. We get to do whatever we want.
Yeah.
Touche.
So we just like, he
Yeah.
came over. We were just like talking, hanging out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we had breakfast. We're like-
Yeah,
it's like it's a regular day.
I know. And I was like, all right, you got to leave because the girls are about to be here.
Yeah, I'll be getting in trouble.
Yeah. So But it was sweet. You just came over and we just like got to see each other. And honestly, the entire day we were talking and calling each other and FaceTiming each other because I was like, I understand why people, I guess, don't. Maybe because their days are so busy. A huge thing. A huge thing for us, though, me in particular, like just with what I do a lot of photo shoots and things like that, video shoots. I was like, I don't want that at all. Like, I don't want assigned moments for photos. Like, I don't want like stage photo shoot for hours. I'm like, I want what feels like candid pictures and hard flash and like memories, but I don't want this whole like staged thing. So that day you kind of just went off with your friend. Yeah. You and Nick just kind of did they're like went to the Cheesecake Factory. I went to the mall. Oh. Yeah. I went to the mall the day of my wedding to like go find shoes and stuff. Yeah. It was honestly, I loved how chill it was. It was
so chill.
Like the girls brought me breakfast. It was so
mine was too chill. I think I took a nap.
Yeah, but I did too. I checked into our hotel room. Yeah. And then we started getting ready. And the biggest thing is I wanted us to show up together. We didn't have a bridal party. So you came and picked me up from the hotel and we did our first look with Sam and Yvette. And they are photographers and like such great friends of ours. And all the pictures that you've seen, and we'll need to probably post the rest of them, were taken in like 5 minutes. They were taken like...
No, literally. I don't even remember it.
Like it was literally so quick. It was like, okay, let's go. Because they knew that we didn't really want pictures.
Right.
So then...
they were perfect.
And it captured everything.
Yeah.
And it was just like perfect how everything happened. And then the
flow was so like just different, but it was so perfect.
What was it? What was your feeling right when like you saw me? I was so nervous.
No, I was so nervous.
We were so nervous.
Yeah. I literally my heart was in my stomach. Honestly, since I got in the car to go pick you up, I was like just like screaming in tongues. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes, sir.
I literally was freaking out.
Yes, sir.
Imagine you're just driving yourself to go pick up your future wife. There's traffic. You're probably about to be late. Shout out Dallas.
The traffic was terrible that day.
Crazy. I'm like, I'm about to be late to my own wedding.
Hilarious.
Anyways, I get to the lobby and everyone's just staring at me. Like because it's like a bunch of restaurants in the lobby and everyone could just tell like I'm different. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, they're like, something's about to happen.
Yeah, he's about to do something. I'm just like feeling this pressure. Your fam's there. They're asking me questions. I'm like, I can't even talk to y'all right now. I'm freaking out. And then you won't come down for a hot minute because you're taking your photos, the ones where she's jumping on the bed.
Yeah, that was fun.
Anyways, so we do the first look, and I just remember, honestly, my heart was literally just like pounding. But honestly, after that, it was kind of chill. Until we walk in together at the wedding.
Yeah. What did you did you like my look?
Of course.
You were
so beautiful. Literally, I wouldn't have even imagined that. The straight hair, short dress.
I did the straight hair for
so
you.
Different.
I never wear my hair straight.
Mm-hmm.
I walked out of the hair salon the day before, and he was like, "Oh, I love your hair like this," and I was like,
Top 3 look.
You say that about everything. Literally, I'll wear my hair with like, and it's such a different way. I'm like, this is my top 3. I'm like, all right.
Top 3 look.
I'm like, what got knocked out of top 3?
It's always moving.
Yeah, but it was so crazy. I think my thing, I was like, I wonder what he's gonna think of like my dress and stuff. Like, I was really curious about that.
Yeah,
but
I think at that point, obviously the dress was beautiful. All of that matters. But I was just so glad to see you.
Yeah.
Just think about it. I was alone.
It was honestly so much better once we got to like see each other and just like, it was like such a relief. Yeah. You two getting overwhelmed.
Oh my
so
gosh,
like,
so adorable.
You guys know I love love. I love love.
And then we get married.
We walked in together.
To what?
Mm-hmm.
To the whole ceremony.
What's our song?
Oh, we had an orchestra that played Bound 2. So that I know you're tired of loving. It was honestly perfect.
It was iconic. Let's be honest.
And then we walked in, and I just love like everybody was cheering. It wasn't like
it was literally.
It wasn't like a "Here Comes the Bride" like silence march.
No.
It was like It felt like we just made it to like a finale.
Yeah,
legit.
It was literally a movie.
Yeah, it was honestly perfect.
Was
I'm
different.
like smiling from ear to ear.
Yeah,
but we walk in, and it was just. We walk into everybody standing around in this like beautiful space with like perfect lighting.
Yeah.
And then like Earl's standing there and we just like get into it.
Yeah. And then your vows.
Took
my
me
God.
out
Who
of
can
here.
forget those?
It was
Took
just
me out of
both
here.
of
She
yours.
literally,
Wow,
Yeah.
thank you guys.
like, screw what I said.
No, it was
No,
what
Yeah.
you said
yours
was
were
beautiful.
Enoch.
literally thespian through and through. By the way, that was so
She took
dramatic.
us on a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you were so nervous because I was like, I'm not going to write down my vows because I just don't.
So of course I was like, I'm not writing mine down. I don't need that.
And Earl
Yeah.
was like, you'll write yours
I
down.
call Earl. I'm like, I'm not writing my vows. I'll be all right. It's like, you're definitely gonna have to write your vows, and then afterward you can say something off your heart. I'm like, fine, you're right. Thankfully I did, because I would have just gone blank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, I sobbed. And I think he wants to keep watching like the video of my vows and I can't even.
No,
I haven't watched
oh.
it.
No.
I'm saving it.
You're saving it
I'm
for like your
saving it.
1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna wreck me, because in that moment I was just shocked by the words that were coming out of your mouth.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
It was so special. And then we everybody just kind of had dinner afterwards.
And then all I remember is we're off to Rome.
Yeah. I will say like I was not prepared for any of like how crazy the emotions were, because they even set outside for us before we went to dinner. Like we walked out together and we just like kind of sat and looked at each other like we just got married. Like it was so surreal. And then also like driving to the hotel afterwards, that was surreal.
Yeah.
Because it was it's like, it's about to go down. And like we had not
Locked in.
Yeah.
crazy.
But it's like
Locked in.
but here's the thing, and it's like it's so beautiful because we waited.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like
But nerve wracking.
it was nerve wracking.
Y'all. All I'll say is,
I was like, Enoch, what do you have to say?
all I'll
Slow down
say
a
is,
little bit.
you just get to the point where like you're kind of like nervous, like where it feels like you don't even know this person.
Yeah, we're
Like,
giddy.
you're just like, hey. Like, what are you doing over there? Come over here.
That
Literally,
was
it
so
feels so
funny.
funny.
It was just like
Yeah.
the craziest, most surreal feeling.
Yeah.
And then we left to go to our honeymoon.
Yeah, we did.
And we went to Rome.
Rome was special, perfect.
Incredible.
And then Paris.
Paris, and then we went to like south of France.
Mm-hmm.
It was honestly just like the most perfect trip, and it was so fun because it was like we'd never flown on a flight together.
Right.
We'd never like been in a hotel, like
It was
stayed
magical.
somewhere together.
It feels surreal.
Yeah.
Because like we talked about last episode, like all those late drives, like having to go home, but you just want to like hang out with this person all day, every day.
Uh-huh.
You just
Wow.
like don't get that part of like, why does this have to be so hard? And then you get to this point, and it's like, wow, you're like not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like,
And
even
so
till
it
this
was like
day,
it.
with-
Yeah. We get like giddy that
Right.
we get to like.
And
it's
even
like
long distance, that like buys in to the fact that
Wow.
like even spending all this time together, it's like, whoa, this
yeah.
is different.
It's really so fun now.
Mhm.
It's like sleepovers every night. We have a blast.
Yeah. Truly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our relationship. Thank you guys for joining us.
No, we're gonna answer a couple of the questions because we haven't
Couple of
gotten.
the Q&A.
Yes. Okay. Here's a couple of questions. I'll start with one that's kind of fun. What is the silliest argument you've ever had?
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
I have a feeling I know what you're gonna say
What?
about this. Which one? The pad thai?
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
Okay.
I'll tell the story.
Okay, if you tell the story.
Okay, so this was about a couple of weeks ago, and we're ordering Uber Eats, and it's late. I think we just gotten home, and we're starving. We're just like, what do you want to eat? And it's late. You know, everything shuts down here in Dallas at like 9 p.m.
Which
Sure.
is insane.
It's
and so-
insane.
You wanted, what's it called?
Zap Kitchen.
Zap Kitchen, which is pad
I just
thai.
wanted pad thai.
And so, like, I'm not the biggest fan, but I'll bite the bullet just for you. I'll have it.
Thank you for saying
But
that.
on this
Mm.
night, I didn't want to bite the bullet. But I'm not even like arguing like crazy. I'm like, maybe something else. And she's like, so she goes and she looks for like 2 minutes. She's like, that's all there is. I'm like, fine. She's like, you want the chicken pad thai? That's never really hit for me. And so I'm like,
He's like, oh, I need to look.
I need to look. She's like,
and I'm
"Alright."
like, but I did warn him. I was
No,
like, we're
no.
coming up to the cutoff
No.
of where we're not going to be able to order it.
Yo, I hold this phone for maybe 10 seconds.
Only to realize he wants exactly what I want, so I could have just doubled
No,
it
'cause she
and
started-
just sent the order.
She started stressing me out. She was like, you need to
Enoch.
hurry. There's about to be a cutoff. I hold this phone for maybe 10 seconds. She starts stressing me out. I'm like, just get the chicken pad thai. She goes to hit submit. it cuts off.
It closed.
Oh my!
Oh my god.
And she loses it
She's livid, isn't
to
she?
the point.
I
where
could fight about it again. Because I was.
Y'all, she in tears on the floor. She's like, "That is all I wanted. That is all I wanted."
I cried.
I maybe had 10 seconds to choose my meal.
Here's the thing.
Oh my
Here's
10
also
seconds.
something.
I
don't know if
literally
this
was
is. I don't know if this is a controversial moment.
I'm like, we can get pad thai 2 times tomorrow. I'm so sorry.
I will say this is also something that I was unprepared for. Obviously, before I got married, I wasn't on any form of like contraceptive or birth control.
That's real.
And right at our wedding, I had gotten put on that.
Yeah.
And so there was so many mood swings that had happened in the first moments of our marriage that we both were shocked
Yeah.
on. I'll never forget. Like
and that's
we were,
okay.
yeah, we were in Rome, and I was just like weepy over stuff. And I'm not a crier.
Yeah.
Like I say, I push more angry, which
Yeah.
is horrible. But I push more angry than like going to a cry.
Yeah.
And then there was a moment in Rome, and you were really, really sweet. Because I was just like sitting on a chair,
'Cause you
just
just-
crying.
You spend so much time with someone, like you know what it is.
Yeah.
It's
And
like,
you were
oh,
like,
this stuff is like real.
yeah. And I'm just crying. And he was like, I don't want to be insensitive. And I'm thinking maybe there might be a small possibility that your birth control is giving you a small mood swing. And I was like,
No,
and I just
small.
start bawling. I was like, of course it is. This isn't who I am.
It's like,
Like, are you kidding?
like, baby, they only had seltzer water. What do you mean?
I know. Honestly, it was a tough go. Thank you, Lord,
So,
for
yeah.
different options. I will
Stories.
say that our silliest arguments probably around food. That's so fat to say, but
We're newlyweds,
but
eating
it's-
good. Stop it.
it's so real though.
Yeah. No, literally, I think every other day she's like, "You never let me choose. It's always what you want." I'm like, "You choose every day,
I
and
know.
you say this
is
every day."
honestly
Oh my
probably
gosh.
farthest from the truth. I do.
Well, I
choose
feel
the
like
most.
that's such like a relationship thing
Yeah.
for like it to be like, what do you want? And it's like, oh, I really don't care. I have no preference. It's like, oh, let's get this. Not that though.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like never
anything
that.
but that.
That's Anna, 100%.
That's both of us.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, here's another fun one. Is Enoch musical in any way?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yep. open up
Enoch?
The
can.
real
What?
tea.
Should I
Yep.
answer?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say like you're different, but I played the saxophone for a couple of
You
years.
sing
That's so like weird to say. That's dorky. I feel like
saxophone? No, that's an incredible
I
instrument.
played the saxophone for
a lot of
7
breath
years.
control.
Twins.
Yeah.
7 years.
You play the saxophone
Mhm.
too? Nice.
sax.
Alto? I played alto.
Nice.
Wow, you guys
Yeah.
could be in a little duet.
I played in church. And then I was in band as well.
Nice.
We need to get a
Yeah.
sax on here. You also
Yeah.
sang. You used to sing in the choir.
Yeah, I sang in the choir, held
Shout
down in
out.
tenor. Yeah,
Mhm.
all the things. I'm not as good as you though. I'll say that.
Okay.
You're different. So yeah,
You don't have to say that.
And-
I
and
love
Kayla.
that.
So funny.
Okay.
and Kayla be locked
Kayla's
in.
singing.
Yeah.
Kayla was
Okay,
singing a little
guys.
song before she
Give us
came
a
on
little
here.
something.
She was giving.
Sing Jolene.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jolene. Jolene.
Okay. Next question.
Hilarious.
Okay. Something you intentionally did in engagement to prepare for marriage.
Ooh,
I would say premarital.
100%. With the right people.
Yeah.
We
and
had studs.
our premarital was really great. A couple from our church, Ron and Judy Brown, were incredible with that with us, and we went through all the hard conversations.
and even the ones that you didn't necessarily feel like were relevant.
Yeah,
It's like we don't deal with this. Like, why is it necessary right now?
it just kind
But
of
they
already.
helped us see like navigating that on the front end of things. Like
Yeah.
it changes everything.
I would also say in the engaged season, which since it was like so short for us because it was like what 15
3
days.
weeks.
Yeah, a
Not
month.
even.
No, yeah, maybe a month, maybe something like that. And I would say one thing the our pastor kept reminding us of was like people prepare for a wedding, but they don't always prepare for marriage.
So real.
So just
Yeah.
making sure that wasn't like every one of our focuses was
Yeah.
going towards the wedding. I think that was so great how we did our premarital because it was like we did it twice a week.
Yeah.
And so we were just really like
Yeah.
putting deposits in our relationship as we were like building our life together and like moving in furniture and then this, but it's also like we're sitting down, we're reading these things together, we're going through like what scripture says about a godly marriage. And I think too, like now we still seek like marital counseling.
100%. Yeah.
And I
Nothing's
said something
changed.
like this the other day. My dad's actually a chiropractor. And so he notices a lot, like most people don't normally go to the chiropractor. They don't see the reason for it until they actually get in an accident. So the most common reason someone will start going to the chiropractor is they either hurt their back pretty bad or they get in some sort of car accident and it's covered within it. And then they go to the chiropractor and they're like, man, this accident messed everything up. And my dad is like, no, you're now seeing problems from years back. The accident actually was just the thing that kicked it into the front of your focus. But if you would have had like regular checkups, if you actually would have gotten in this accident after being a regular member of a chiropractic clinic, you would have been so much healthier and your spine could have taken so much more.
Right.
So I think we see that now of like us in our premarital or postmarital counseling. It's not that we're like dealing through crazy problems. We're still like honeymoon phase. Like everything is still pretty rose colored glasses for us, but we're still wanting to get those tools for when things get hard. So it's not like something just throws us off the road.
And I would say it takes a lot of humility to get to the place to have those conversations that you feel like you don't need. Like you feel like you're better than.
Yeah.
Because there are so many topics where we're like, we don't deal with that. Like we'll never deal with that. And Ron and Judy like literally helped us like honestly have those guidelines where we're like honestly very aware to be like, okay, we deal with this now.
Yeah.
We'll have like that on our tool belt for later on.
Yeah. And even when we were dating, like we joked about this in the last episode, but right after we like kissed and you're taking me to the airport, I'm like, what's your credit? What do you believe? Like, what are some like beliefs that you stand on that you wouldn't ever move on? Like, I wanted to know those things. And I think like dating intentionally is like getting hard conversations out of the way.
Yeah. I feel like,
because it's like,
and in that moment, I'm like, I feel like all our conversations are hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? He's like, all of our conversations are tough.
We were having those conversations the night we kissed. I mean, imagine that.
Yeah.
So, like, we both could have easily been like, this is too much too soon.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do this.
I would say you have to know the weight that your relationship can take.
Truly.
Yeah.
We stretched wide.
We had a large foundation of friendship.
Yeah.
If you're meeting someone off the street, I mean, you might not ask them
all
the trauma that their life may hold. That's probably not the time. Have discernment on that.
Right.
But have like, I think
the
dating.
Street.
Yeah, I don't know. People meet on the street, but I'm like dating intentionally. Dating intentionally just looks like I used to date in a way that I would be scared to find certain things out, so I'd push it off. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why? I would rather know 3 months down the line that you actually don't want to raise your kids in the house of God. Yeah. I would actually rather know that on date one that you're like, I don't believe in taking my kids to church on Sunday. I don't believe in telling them what what we believe. I want them to figure it out on their own, or whatever it might be. If something that's like, hey, that's a core thing that you're probably not going to move on. I'd rather just know that now, so I can know how to kind of maneuver.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Okay, so we know you guys were really close friends, and then you guys dated, and you guys were super, super close. But what's something that you learned about each other after getting married that you didn't know before?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
That's so good.
Go ahead. You go first, yeah.
Okay. I feel like I'm learning things every day. Every day, honestly, I have a moment. I'm like, I can't believe I married you.
No, we literally say that every day. And not in that, because that can sound kind of crazy. Yeah. But we're literally like.
We had a moment yesterday. We were like sitting on the opposite sides of the house. We're just staring at each other.
I was like, because it's like you really just marry someone that you just like, you're kind of like, whoa, we got married. That's so crazy. Truly. I think, like what you said, we do learn stuff about each other every single day. Yeah. I would say I'm pleasantly surprised that there's nothing crazy I've found out yet.
That's real.
There's nothing that's like,
I don't think I found anything out.
Yeah.
I guess practically we should say something, you know? We don't want to leave them with nothing.
Something I've learned about you, I think I would say you really do. There is a fear that when you get married and like something's locked in, that there's like comfortability or that like it may change a little bit, and we're still so new. So, but I would say something you've continued to like pursue me even when we're married.
It's good.
Like
Beautiful.
nothing of that has stopped. Like this morning you go to Orange Theory and like I didn't get to go today because I'm on some antibiotics for this eye infection. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We gotta stop talking about that.
Yeah. just keep
Anyway,
bringing it up.
yeah, it's part of my personality at this point. But even just like texts of like I miss you so much, like
Yeah.
those kinds of things. I don't
Just
know.
keeping it fresh.
Yeah, just the intentionality of that.
I guess what I keep learning is that there's like so many new things. I said in the last episode that you have these bits that you practice. I'm like, no, you're actually funny, like straight up off the dome.
Thank you for
So
saying
that's
that.
also good to know.
I'm glad you finally realized that. He
I
thought
keep-
I used to just like rehearse bits on my own.
Yeah.
That would have been
Also,
crazy
yeah.
if that was true.
Yeah, keep finding out you're a great cook every time.
She is.
There's depth to it too. She like crosses over to different cultures,
Yep.
all the things. I'm
Wow.
still waiting on the rice and beans, the plantains, all the things.
I'm intimidated to make those things for you. That's your own culture. You got to
s-
teach me.
You start cooking up those things, I'm calling the famine.
Yeah, that's going to make me so nervous.
She's like,
I guess I'll start cooking those things.
Yeah, you got to teach
A
me.
little mangul.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea what that is.
I'm just
Dorian
saying,
does.
yeah.
she's like, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, let's be honest. What I keep finding out is that she hates plantains. So we're trying to work that out.
I don't hate them.
We're
They're
trying to
just not like a
deliver her.
desired
They're
thing
so
that I
good.
gravitate towards.
I know.
It's never something that I would like crave, but I'm open to learning how to make them in new
And
ways.
so that's a problem.
He's like,
All right,
next question
and then,
is, what
yeah.
is your biggest pet peeve? She
Yeah.
doesn't like plantain.
I'm trying to get her to DR like next week.
I would love to go to DR next week.
Yeah, you would.
Would.
I wanted
Get us
that to
to
be
the
our
beach.
honeymoon so bad. I loved Rome though. It was perfect.
We had such a great
Like,
honeymoon.
bro.
We're headed to
It
DR
looks
soon.
stunning.
Yeah, see you soon, DR. Live pod and DR.
Honestly, yeah.
That'd be great.
It's just you and
Yeah.
or your family.
That'll be
Okay.
special. Next question.
Next question is, did experiences with previous relationships play into your current one?
Yes,
Real? Yeah.
always.
There's always triggers.
I think that that's something we actually were talking about at dinner the other night about how much that can play into your new relationship.
Yeah.
And not from the sense of like, oh, there may be some like unhealed things or like
yeah.
baggage things. But the reality is when you finally end up with who you're supposed to be with,
Yeah.
there is that level of like, oh man, there's some things I wish I could have
100%.
saved for this person, or like there are some like dynamics I wish I didn't have prior to this.
Right.
And I think that there's so much grace for that, but the reality and like the humanity of that is that does like come up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or even just like
Yeah.
things that had happened before, or
It kind of makes you sad that like once you meet your person and that like they're here forever, you wish you had just like held on to some things just for them. And that's just like more than even sexually.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like emotionally, even like with communication, all those things, I
Sure.
feel like it makes me sad sometimes to think like, man, I wish I would have just held on for you, like to wait on you. I guess I see that now, why I guess the Lord calls for us like in singleness to like not give out everything away so freely.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think that like I said, like there is really so much grace for it.
yeah, truly.
And I think that we experience so much restoration in that and like
Yeah.
covering of that.
and redemption.
But
yeah.
even to now, like when we get to talk to like y'all or like our single friends, I'm like, that is something that is huge.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like it's going to matter.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, like that's fine. Like it's okay if I like go there with this person or have this even like certain conversation or like those kind of things. I'm like, I don't know, you kind of dive into that a little bit. And there obviously is like trauma of things that happen in past relationships.
Right.
And that's something that whoever you're supposed to be with will care for those things
Yeah.
and
that's
not
good.
use them against you.
Truly. Yeah.
There's such a different aspect of like getting into a relationship with someone and like being honest about like, hey, I think we had those conversations of like,
Yeah.
I know something for me too. I was like, hey, if someone raises their voice at me, that actually triggers a lot of things in me from past relationships that I've been in that are super unhealthy. And I just need you to know that my reaction to that's not going to
Yeah.
be great. And it wasn't met with like, I'm not going to clean up the mess of your other people.
Right.
It was met with like, tell me anything else that would cause you to feel unsafe.
Yeah,
Because
a lot
I'm
of,
going to
like,
avoid that.
right, a lot of those things that kind of, I guess you would say, trigger you, like, would just be my nature.
Sure.
Like, speaking loudly, I wouldn't know that, like, that's triggering you because I'm not coming from a place of, like, with malicious intent. It's just, like, I'm just speaking loudly. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
So there are just certain things, and I think that it's just the way that we were able to, like, care for each other in that.
Yeah.
Of, avoiding those things until they're more healed.
Right.
Yeah.
I know y'all just got married, but like, what would you define as a happy, successful marriage?
Happy, successful marriage, laughing a lot,
Yeah. Don't take moments too seriously.
and
We
like
don't let
living in the
anything,
moment.
yeah, we don't let anything linger. Like, even when we do get into, like, debates or fights or whatever you might call it,
I
honestly,
I think like if I'm thinking of what my true definition of like the marriage that I desire and like the happy and healthy marriage is that like there's never a moment where I'm not excited to see you.
right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like I can't wait to be around you.
Truly. That's
Like
so
that
good.
to me is something I think that is so long lasting for when we have children.
Keeps it fresh.
For like even like
Yeah.
the people we get to love on.
Mhm.
Or that to me is something for a long time I didn't know if I wanted to be married because my parents have a beautiful marriage, but I just was around a lot of marriages that were just a little dull. I know it's horrible to say
real.
maybe,
Yeah.
but I especially like moving here to Dallas and being around so many healthy marriages and even like our pastor's marriage or just like people at our church. And I was like, oh man, like I desire that.
Yeah.
Like that's something I want to have. My biggest dream is that like that's what we're known for.
Right.
Like I'm not known for like albums that I make
Mm-hmm.
or like things that I could create or anything like that, but that we're really known for like, man,
yeah.
like I want people to be so encouraged by our marriage to love
Yeah.
each other more.
Those are the compliments I remember the most. Like when people
Yeah.
are like, I'm always watching you guys, which I'm like, they're like,
I know people say that to us a lot.
you know, like I'm always watching you guys. You guys are always laughing. I love it so much. Like I literally hold on to that. That means the world.
It's so
To
beautiful.
just like, I just want to stay in this bubble of just like joy and laughter, like in a healthy way. Don't be like literally in a bubble. Have some friends. But yeah, I think when it's just like keeping that fresh and exciting, I should still be like spitting game years from now. It shouldn't get casual.
Yeah. You
know what I mean?
I think that's something huge for us that we just wanted just to keep it
Yeah.
fun and like let the Lord be in the center of it.
Let the Lord. It's
Love
beautiful.
that. Okay, Riz her up right now.
Can you imagine? The heavy breath that was taken. I don't even want to hear what's after that because he literally will.
I'm not scared.
It's literally, that's why I'm like, I'm waiting.
All right. Any more questions?
Okay, this could be one of our last ones. It's kind of two questions in one. Who fell first / who said I love you first?
Ooh. Bum, bum.
She fell first.
I'm like, refer back to episode 3.
Yeah.
I would say.
You said I love you first.
Okay, that wasn't the first half
Okay.
of the question. Let's answer the first half of the question.
Okay.
Which was who fell first?
This is so hard to tell because it's like I feel like we both fell for each other, but we didn't communicate it.
Yeah.
True, but I would say I fell for you first in like the way of I wanted to be with you first.
Really?
Yeah, you just saw me as a piece of meat first.
Oh
That
my God.
is so insane.
A piece of meat? You swear I was a dog.
I'm like, she wanted me so bad. Like,
Yeah.
he's trying to drive
like-
that point
Oh,
home.
He's like, you didn't
dog.
want my mind.
Nah,
I did.
Nah.
That's so
And so
crazy.
she wanted me first, but I wanted her like in a real way first.
Do you have any questions for me?
Who said I love you first? Okay, I said I love you first because like as a guy, I think you can't have to. But like
You
I
don't
could
have
see,
to.
I could see that you wanted to say it. So I just went ahead and said
I
it.
did. I really wanted to say it for a long time, but we were long distance and I wanted it to be in person. And I thought we were going to wait to do it in person, but you
I-
had to tell me the day before you saw me on the phone. But here's the thing, you let it slip so many times
It
on
was
the phone.
it was late. We're on the phone. I was tired.
He said
Y'all
it
know,
so many
y'all know when you talking to your
times.
boo and it's late and you're
Boo's
like
crazy.
your feet are like up on the ceiling,
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
or
Oh,
like
yeah?
you're upside down on
I'm
the
like,
bed and you're
we've
just
all
like
had that
kicking your
feeling
feet
before.
like a little dork. There's like Drake in the background. You just like trying to do what you can.
You're sacrificing sleep for
Right.
them.
Oh,
Yeah.
the way we used to stay on the phone.
Y'all, I would literally be on the phone till like 6
Oh god.
and probably go to work at 9. Yeah. Exhausted.
That's real love.
We
Like, that's
literally
real love.
That's long distance. Is
it
what
was
that is.
and honestly, we would wait every day. We were so excited to just
And
like get
we would
home and be on the phone.
Never run out of things to talk about. Ever.
There was literally never a
Yeah.
moment.
If there
when
was
we-
silence, it's because she fell asleep. But once I hung up the phone, she'd wake right back up.
Yeah.
You know when you hear like that FaceTime like end call?
I'm like, why?
She like,
Just
"Where'd
leave
you
it
go?"
on.
The noise.
What am I
Um,
watching? You sleep now?
When we went into our premarital, that was something they said. They're like, we've never met a couple who talks to each other so much.
Yeah.
I was like, we do.
If there's
communicate
silence
well
in
'cause
this house, there's a problem. Truly. Anytime it's silent in here, it's
That's
like
tough.
we either just got in a fight, but it does not last. We'll get in a fight and there'll be silence for like 10 minutes. I just hear feet stampering. She's like, Enoch. Are you
Enoch
still,
doing the Enoch impression
are
of
you
Anna
still
is
gonna be
crazy.
mean to me? I'm like,
That's
you were mean to
insane.
me. What are you talking about?
I got a follow-up question.
Yeah.
So you said you said I love you first, and you said Anna said you said she was like hinting at it.
Yeah.
a few times. So like, was it like a I love you, or was it like a Anna, I adore you and I love
No,
you so much?
it like exploded out of me.
Oh.
It was like, I love you.
Oh my god.
Dang it, I love you. I love you.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could lose
But
it right now.
I said it the first time and I was like, crap. I was like, I said it. I was like, I might have said it too soon. To the point of like, I didn't want to scare her off. That's always a fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But once I said it and she was shocked and that shocked me, I'm like, oh, you hate that.
I didn't say it back.
She didn't say it back. That's tough, isn't it?
That's tough.
That hurts.
Poor Enoch.
I wanted to say it in person.
Mm-hmm. And so I think I
I
drove
know.
up to
How
Nashville.
brutal was that?
Oh, it hurt so bad. I was at
Really?
I was at work the next day. I don't think I talked to anybody.
He's like,
Yeah.
Enoch.
That's real. Imagine that.
Yeah. That's
Love of your
tough.
life. I love you explodes out of you. And it's like, oh, okay.
All right. Good night.
Thank you.
I didn't say
Thank
you.
No,
Thank you.
I'm like, I love you. Enoch.
Oh.
I'm like, oh, okay.
No.
Yeah, that was tough.
But then you came in town like the next day.
Yeah.
And do you remember when I told you I loved
Next day. It was like the next weekend.
you? No.
I
I
dealt
was
with
already,
that for days.
baby, no, I was already in Nashville.
Oh, okay.
And then you came in town, maybe even 2 days, but you came in town and then I told you that night that you got in. Do you remember? And
Yeah.
I like couldn't.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to throw up.
Yeah, she was like having a panic attack,
That's so
See,
sweet.
throw
trying
up
to
is
tell
real.
me.
Throw up is real.
And then
Yeah.
I did. And look
Mhm.
at us now. Love you 1,000.
Who would have thought? Love you 1,000.
So sweet.
Any more questions?
Just one more. What is the golden nugget for this episode?
The golden nugget. Okay,
You doing it?
I think so.
Okay, go.
I would say, just based on what we talked about, I would say marry someone you like rather than just love. I think we talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
When you're like, do you like me today versus love me? And I'm like, yes, I like you. Marry someone
I'm
you
very
want to be
specific
around.
on that.
Yeah.
I need you to like me
Yeah.
too.
Marry someone you want to be goofy with. Marry someone who's your best friend and you just laugh all day with. You just don't take things too seriously. I think that just like alleviates all the pressure to just like
Totally.
have to maintain this like standard of just like seriousness and just like, you know, it isn't dull. It's exciting. It's
Yeah.
exhilarating.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
And I think too, like, I don't know if it's just like a joke or like a shtick or a bit, but I feel like growing up, everybody was like dunking on marriage all the time.
Truly. It's like once
Do
you
you
get
know
married,
what I
it's
mean?
over. I'm like,
It's like, ball and chain, or our first year of marriage was horrible, like all those things. And I'm like,
That's the worst when you're about to get married and people are like, first 3 years.
Marriage is harder than you think it is.
It's about
and
to
it's
be
like,
hell.
as I understand that it probably is
Yeah.
hard, and there are elements that are hard.
I think you just keep the joy of the Lord. I mean, we've already walked through certain things where it's like, we could have lost it.
Yeah, we're very new, so I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't want to seem like we're like, we got it. Ah. No, not in any way.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's like, it's also how you act about it.
Yeah.
I
truly.
think that
how you speak on
I
it.
love the culture that we're currently in, because everyone that was married that talked to us before was like, marriage is the absolute best.
Yeah.
And like,
it makes
this
you
is,
excited for it. It
you know,
changes
this
everything.
this is literally going to be such a game
I
changer
think
for you.
being around marriages that like you aspire to be like, it changes like the way you see your potential marriage or the marriage you're newly in.
Totally.
Like that literally had me so excited to like marry you and like want to do it the right way and keep it fresh. Like all the guys here are always giving me new ideas to like, you know, freshen things up or just like keep you on your toes. And I think that just being
love
around
that.
the right people also is also the golden nugget.
I love
Beautiful.
Wow.
that. And that's this week's episode of the Golden Nugget. We love you guys so much. We hope you got some joy from this, some laugh, maybe even some little nuggets of wisdom.
Hopefully something.
Hopefully a little bit of something.
Yeah.
I hope you fell in love with Enoch just more as much
That's
as I
sweet.
did. You're the
I
best.
love you too.
I love you so much.
You want to like sing a little bit, a little jingle?
I would like you to know that every time we start a podcast, Enoch invites us all to worship a little bit.
It's like, let's
before
worship.
he's like, should we do a moment of worship? I'm like,
Let's
we
just
can pray.
Never gonna-
All right. If you want to know if Enoch's musical,
Yeah.
he loves.
Follow my SoundCloud. You'll find
Okay.
out.
Could you
that's
imagine?
amazing.
All
You'll
right.
find
And
out.
that's
Like-
it for this week's episode of the Golden Nugget Podcast. We love you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.